Right now, I'm about to make a huge decision. What school do I want to commit to? What school do I most likely want to spend the next 3 to 4 years of my life with? But first, let me take y'all back and give y'all the story how I got to this point. Now, first off, my name is Javante Green, and I grew up in LA, and I was lucky enough to have both my parents in my life, though they did end up splitting up before I went to high school. And the crazy thing is, I actually didn't even play football here in LA. Now, what happened was that my mother ended up moving to Texas after splitting up with my father, and she brought me with her. And this move would change a lot. Because going into high school, I've always loved soccer. I always played it, but for some reason, I ended up losing the love for it. But I still wanted to play a sport. So after talking it through with my parents, I'm going with football. And that would end up being one of the best decisions I could have ever made. Now, more specifically, we ended up moving to Dallas, Texas. So I ended up trying out for Duncanville High School. And look, I was going into it knowing that this was definitely not going to be easy, especially since the only time I ever really played football was with friends as a kid, backyard football. But not only that, I was trying out for Duncanville football, which is like one of the best football schools in Texas. So it's most definitely going to be a challenge. But with a background in soccer, I was hoping I'll be able to, catch on quickly so I can make the team. Now, in tryouts, I was most definitely nervous, but I had to say I didn't do terrible, but I didn't do amazing either. See, in tryouts, I would quickly start to realize what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And the crazy thing is that the coaches allowed people to be out in the crowd and the audience so that, we could have a little bit of pressure on us. So, people are watching us like it's an actual game. And I guess you could say that added on to my nervousness. But this was my opportunity and I had to take advantage of it. So I tried to block out the audience the best I could. Now, at first, I tried to run it back, but I would soon realize that I'm not fit for that position at all. Like, I'm about 5'8", 5'9", I only weigh like 160 wet. So yeah, that position most definitely was not happening. Like, especially with how much bigger the linebackers and linemen were compared to me, like I wasn't trying to get tackled by them dudes at all. And now quarterback, I ain't even try. And to be honest, there's no reason to explain that one. I ain't even got to. But I would soon start to find out what position I might be good at, and it actually ended up being 2 positions, wide receiver and cornerback. And to be real, I feel like it's because I have that soccer background. And to play soccer, you got to have pretty good footwork, speed, and quickness. So I feel like I caught on pretty quickly on the route running part. Matter of fact, I look like a natural out there. And it seemed like route running was my best attribute because no one could really stay in front of me in tryouts. Like, whether it was a slant, dig, corner, I was killing them boys out there. And I'm not the fastest, but I definitely got some speed on me and I'm real agile. But as y'all know, it ain't that easy to be a wide receiver because being a wide receiver ain't just about route running, as I would soon find out that I struggle at catching the ball, and this was a big problem. And due to this problem, I ended up trying out for cornerback as well, and I did pretty good. My footwork was pretty good, my hits were okay, and I looked like a pretty decent cornerback. And you know what they say about corners. But to be honest, I honestly enjoyed playing wide receiver more than I did corner. But at the end of the day, whatever the team needed most is what I was going to be. Because at the end of the day, I just wanted to play. Now, after tryouts, I was way more nervous than when I was actually trying out. But I would soon find out that the coaches actually saw something in me because they let me on the team. And the head coach ended up letting me know that if I put in the work, I could honestly become a big playmaker for the team eventually, especially as a wide receiver. But he told me I just got to put in that work because, yeah, that catching thing can't happen. But on all the other things that being a receiver, I'm real good at it. So, hey, I took that to heart. Now, after being noticed by the coaches, I immediately got to putting in work and practice as I already knew what I needed to work on, which was my catching ability. And so I went straight to work with the JV starting quarterback in practice because for my freshman year, I was on JV and I had to prove to them why I deserved to be on varsity. So I had to put in that work and just get better every single day. Coming into my first season, my freshman year, I knew I had something to prove, and that is the coach's belief in my potential. And since I was starting, I was able to do my thing, which I did. In my first game playing JV, I was balling out, but the thing was, I was getting plays that made sure it was easy for me to really catch the ball, like screen plays, little short routes, and stuff like that. But I was also put on the outside from time to time, able to just show off the versatility that I can have at wide receiver. And yeah, I was doing my thing. But I mainly showed out when it came to like screen plays, the jet sweeps, the short passes and everything like that. Because I was able to catch that ball, use my agility to pick up extra yards, and it looked real good. And they had a lot of plays where I was able to use my speed, like here when I got wide open down the middle of the field and hit my little dancey dance in the end zone. Now, as that catching problem wasn't as prevalent here, still, if I got hit while trying to catch that ball, most likely was going to drop it. But still, I was still able to ball out, catch multiple touchdowns in this game. Matter of fact, I went crazy, as I ended up having 12 catches, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns in my first game on JV. And I would continue this dominance throughout my entire freshman year. I mean, it was like nobody could guard me out there. But the thing was, as I was doing this on JV, and as I was doing my thing and stuff, there's still times where, I showed my disadvantages, things I'm not that good at. And due to this, coach felt like it was better for me to just stay on JV, keep on progressing, keep on getting better, and, eventually get to varsity. But that didn't happen yet. And it didn't end up happening up until halfway through my junior year. And this was due to a couple of things that really hindered my success on the football field. With the main thing being that my work ethic really wasn't as good as it should have been. Like, I gotten better, but not a lot better, and definitely not as good as I should have been at this point in my football career. Especially with me being undersized, I needed to work way harder. But then after realizing I was going to end up being a senior playing JV, I knew something had to change. And something did. My mindset. That realization was all I needed to really take off. See, in my junior year, I had improved on everything the coaches saw as my weaknesses. Drop passes, physicality, finally put some weight on, and I even got lucky enough to grow 1 inch since my freshman year. So I was about 5'9" at this point and about 170 pounds going into my junior year. And while that's really not a lot, and I was obviously still undersized, but hey, I was way more of a dog than I was in my previous years, and I was way more hungry for recognition, and soon enough, I would get that recognition, because halfway through my junior year, I was balling harder than I ever had. I was showing off the things that I had improved on, like my speed, agility, catching, route running, everything. And the varsity coach saw my improvement, and he decided that it was finally time for me to move up to varsity and see if my talent would transfer playing against varsity players. But first, he had to make sure that he made the right choice, so his decision wasn't final on letting me play in the next game yet. See, coach was going to make that decision based on how well I played in practice, and I was up to the challenge, because with how much work I had been putting in, there was no way I was going to allow my opportunity to get on varsity to go to waste. And I didn't, because in my first practice with the varsity team, I looked like I fit right in, and all the work I was putting in looked like it was paying off, because it looked like every pass that was thrown to me was caught. I wasn't winning every single rep, but I won a good amount of them, and a good amount was all the coach needed to see, as he pulled me to the side and said, "Welcome to the varsity team." And man, when I tell y'all the excitement I felt at that moment, like I literally just started taking football seriously a couple years ago. And now I'm on the varsity squad. Crazy. Now, even though I had made my way on the varsity, that didn't mean I was going to immediately play, as I was really only going to be able to get in the game when it was basically over with. But I didn't complain, because at the end of the day, I was playing on varsity, and that's what I wanted. And not only that, I just couldn't stress too much, because I was only in my junior year, so I had a whole senior year to really gain recognition from college scouts. Going into the final game of the regular season, I would finally get an opportunity to play a full game, like a whole game, because the main slot receiver had a day-to-day injury. In this game, he wasn't going to be able to play, so coach felt like it was the perfect time to bring an underdog junior wide receiver off the bench. And I'm going to be honest. Now, I know y'all probably expected me to say that I went crazy in this game, but unfortunately, I didn't. I didn't play terribly, but you could definitely tell that I was nervous out there. Like, I looked like a junior who finally got his first varsity start. My routes were a little shaky, dropped a couple passes, but that didn't last the whole game though. Because going into the second half, while we was down by 2 touchdowns, I ended up breaking free for a huge touchdown down the sideline off a streak route. Just completely burnt that DB. And off that play, we carried that momentum through the rest of the game, especially me, because when we eventually tied the game back up, I scored a touchdown off a jet sweep to take the lead. And at this point, I could tell that my coach was real proud of me right now, because he saw my potential, and hey, it was really paying off in this game. And like, even though it was a real close game and I really need to stay locked in, I just couldn't help but to keep smiling, because hey, I was doing my thing on varsity. And even though I started a little bit shaky, I did not let my opportunity go to waste. Now, we were going to win this game, and I ended up putting up 8 catches, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not only that, but maybe even a starting spot. Well, that starting spot didn't end up happening, as even though I did play well in the last regular season game, it was playoff time, and the slot receiver that was injured was ready to play, and the team could not afford to not have him out there, because he was the best playmaker on the team and a senior, and obviously a guy who had way more offers than I did. And so I was back to the bench, waiting for another opportunity. But in the back of my mind, I knew that no matter what, there's no way I don't start next year. And it was obvious that coach made the right decision because we were going to win the state championship versus DeSoto. And even though I didn't get to play as much as I wanted, I was excited and ready for next year because I want to be the reason why we win the state championship next season. Going into my senior year, knowing that this was going to be my last opportunity to be recognized by college scouts, I knew it was time to really lock in. And now this time around, I didn't get any taller, but I did gain some weight, getting to around 175 to 180 pounds, depending on the day. Also, I put in the most work I ever had, like barely any off days during the off season, and that's how it should be. Cause even though I did believe I could have a great year and impress college scouts, I knew that I was undersized still. So my work ethic had to be better than everybody else's. And of course, I had a chip on my shoulder cause being undersized and being a one-star receiver, I knew I had a lot to prove. Heading into our first game of the year, my first game of my senior year, coach had let me know that I'm now the starting slot receiver on the team, and I'm gonna be honest, I already knew that. I was just waiting for him to tell me. And now, at this point, with the keys in my hands, ain't no way I let this opportunity go to waste. I had one whole season left to gain some recognition and some scholarships. My last opportunity. Now, to be honest, a lot of people coming into the season didn't believe that we'll have a good year. I mean, this is the first year where we had a whole lot of changes happen to the team, as literally all the wide receivers that were starting last year were seniors, and now they're in college. But not only that, last year's starting quarterback went off to college as well, so we basically got a whole new team, and a lot of people don't believe that we'll be successful. But me, I'm seeing this as an opportunity to really show out, and I was seen to be the #1 wide receiver on the team. Well, at least in my mind, but in reality, there was another senior who moved here from LA, the same place I'm from. His name was Elijah Meredith, and he was previously the starting wide receiver for his high school, but now he was looking to be the #1 wide receiver for this team, and he was immediately moved up to varsity after coach saw his film, and I couldn't blame coach because bro was a 5-star receiver who had proved to be a problem on the field. But even knowing all that, I was still up to the challenge, and I let him know that because now it was my time to shine. But little did we know, we would soon enough be sharing the spotlight together, but that's for a later date. See, during the season, we would be competing with each other basically, and that just made us play even harder. And I knew that this was gonna make us a crazy duo. Going into the season, me and Elijah knew what we had to do, because we're basically a new Duncanville team. We were the 2 best players. Well, he was known as the best, and I just felt like I was up there with him. But at the end of the day, the only thing that mattered is that I needed to go crazy. And I was planning on it. As a matter of fact, here in this first game of the season, we was both going crazy. And we were both doing our thing, as coach had plays designed for us to take over the game. And we ain't disappointed at all. And it's just crazy because we're really kind of both undersized wide receivers. I'm 5'9", he like 5'10". So we was like the undersized duo. And in our first game playing with each other, we both put up some good stat lines. As I put up 7 catches, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, and him 4 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown as well. So we did not disappoint. Now, after that crazy game, it seemed like things were finally coming through for me because I had finally received my first offer, and it was to UTEP. And even though it is just a small school, just the fact that I finally got my first D1 offer just meant everything to me. And it just motivated me to go even harder because the sky was the limit for me. But it got even crazier from then because I was going to have a game that I didn't think I'd ever be able to outdo. Like, from the start of the game, I set the tone. Coach set up a jet sweep for me on the first play of the game, and I broke free for a huge touchdown. Now, normally, I'm not the disrespectful type, but here, I was feeling like that. I went into the end zone, dropped that ball right there, just put it down, and walked away. Like, I don't know who I was feeling like, but hey, nobody was gonna stop me. And at this point, I had that feeling. That feeling when you know you in the zone and you finna have a crazy game. If you know, you know. Like, in this game, it looked like I was the 5-star wide receiver, but I wasn't. Just a now 2-star wide receiver with something to prove. And I was definitely proving that I was better than a lot of people thought I was here in this game. I was basically unstoppable. And me being undersized meant nothing in this game at all because I even head-topped someone. And to be honest, I really wasn't expecting the quarterback to throw this ball, but before I knew it, I was in midair dunking on that dude. And I was able to come down with it too, just nasty. And it's crazy because even though Elijah and some of the other guys had good games as well, all their games was just overshadowed by mine. As my stats were just insane in this game, as I ended up having 12 catches for 334 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I continued that dominance throughout the season, receiving even more offers. And those offers really started to come in. Like, I started to receive some offers from pretty good schools like UNC, Georgia Tech, SMU, and even Florida, just to name a few. Because at this point, I was a 4-star wide receiver, but with half a season to go, I still had a lot of progress to make it to the place I wanted to get to, being a 5-star and being the #1 receiver in the nation. And now, with the season almost being over with, I knew that this next game versus DeSoto was going to be a huge one. Because if you know about that Duncanville versus DeSoto rivalry, yeah, it gets crazy. Especially after we just beat them last year in the state championship. They was looking for revenge. But unfortunately for them, I was having one of those stretch of games like that was unstoppable. And this game ended up being insane. Now, even though my stats weren't like the game I had earlier on in the season, this game was more about the highlights I had. As I started the game off with a screenplay, made a couple people miss, and took it to the crib and did my little dance. And at this point, the dance was really trademarked by me because I damn near did it every single time. But anyways, this play would go viral. But that wasn't the only crazy play I had in this game, because we'll find ourselves down by 3 points going into the 4th quarter. And I took it upon myself to basically take control of the drive myself, to set up our running back to get an easy run into the end zone to take the lead. And for some reason, Elijah wasn't really doing much in this game. But when we really needed him, he finally came through and got a big play touchdown off a post route that extended our lead to 11 with just under 2 minutes left in this game. And at this point, we had all the momentum, and DeSoto could do nothing about it. As we ended up winning this game, and I put up 6 catches, 183 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It felt like I was on top of the world, receiving even more offers and more recognition. But I would soon fall from the top of the world. And just when I thought I was in a great position, see, we dominated for the rest of the year, and then it was playoff time, first round. But there was a huge problem. Our number 2 cornerback was hurt, as he ended up getting injured in the last game of the regular season. And we really didn't have many good options that could replace him. So I told coach I'd do it and play both positions, wide receiver and corner. Now, the only reason why I did this is because I've been practicing behind the scenes as a cornerback, because at the end of the day, I just wanted something I could fall back on, just in case the wide receiver position didn't work out. So, I've been practicing. And so I figured that this was a time to, shock everyone and show what I could do on defense as well. And well, let's just say that my practice playing cornerback was not paying off. I mean, at least at the start, as I wasn't allowing the big plays, but when it was like a 3rd and 2, all they needed was a slant. They was able to pick it up on me. I wasn't ready for the short routes. And the guy was guarding, he thought he was cold. He kept on talking trash to me. But after a couple of allowed catches, I was finally able to figure out what the guy's weakness was. And I found out that this dude wasn't trying to get physical. So I got to pressing him, putting my hand right in his chest every time he got off that line, just breaking him down. And after I started doing that, at that point, bro was locked down. And I kept getting in his head as well. And soon enough, I ended up coming away with an interception. And I didn't even have to press on this play. I just baited him up. And then on the offensive side, it was just business as usual. Y'all already know. As in the drive after me getting that interception, we'd have made our way all the way down to the red zone. And I ended up getting a jet sweep and got into the end zone with it, scoring my touchdown. But then I would soon start to regret playing on both sides of the ball, because I was basically on the field for the entire first half with almost no breaks, as I wanted to do as much as I could to help win this game. But then it happened. Coming out into the 3rd quarter, while receiving the ball on a jet touch pass, and I mean, as soon as I tried to cut that corner, I pulled my right hamstring. Well, that's what I thought. I would soon find out that I tore my hamstring instead. Luckily, it was only a mild tear, but unluckily, I ended up having to sit out for the rest of the playoffs. But it didn't end there, because after that injury, a couple colleges that gave me an offer pulled them, because with me being undersized and relying on my speed and quickness, they wanted to be safe. They didn't know how I was going to be after I recovered from the injury. And so at this point, it just felt like everything that I had worked for was just falling out of my hands. All because I just wanted to do everything I possibly could to get to that state championship. And instead, I overworked my legs. I guess not everybody got the genetics to be a Travis Hunter. Now, with me not being able to play for the rest of the playoffs, I had to watch from the bench, just like how I did at the end of my junior year. Now, at the back of my mind, I was thinking maybe the team isn't going to be that good since I'm not on the field anymore and I was one of the best playmakers on the team. Shoot, probably the best. But instead, the team used my injury as motivation and made it back to the state championship. And guess who we played? DeSoto, once again. And since I couldn't be the one to do them boys dirty this time around, Elijah took it upon himself to carry the load of the offense as he had been doing up until this point in the playoffs. Now, Elijah wasn't the only player to really step up though, as our starting running back, Alex, was running better than he ever had during the season. fighting for every single yard. And of course, our quarterback Cameron, he's been real consistent all year, and he stayed consistent in this game, even without me. So by the fourth quarter, when we was up by 14 points with the ball, Elijah killed his man on the outside for a big touchdown, which basically ended the game. And so we won the state championship once again, back to back. But once again, I had no part in it, and it ate me alive, hurt me. Because at the end of the day, there was nothing I could do about it. I had to make it seem like I was happy for everyone since we won, but on the inside, I knew that I was in a complicated situation. And now that y'all all caught up, it's time to make that decision. What college should I commit to? Should I go to one of the smaller schools that didn't put their offer? Or should I go to a bigger school and try to work my way up the depth chart and prove myself once again? Y'all let me know. Now look, my high school football career didn't end like as I wanted to at all, but it was a journey for sure. From a freshman who just started playing football to a senior who finally proven himself. Unfortunately, I didn't get that fairy tale ending due to my hamstring injury, but I gotta be grateful because I'm in a position now where I'm able to continue my football career here in college. And after long days, long nights of thinking and trying to make that decision, I have finally decided where I want to go. And the school is SMU. Now, there are two main reasons why I chose this school. Well, first off, this team is one of the only schools that did not decide to, pull their offer after I got injured. So they still believed in me. And also, I didn't just come here alone. My boy Elijah, he decided to come here with me since, we built such a good friendship and wanted to continue the duo that we had in high school. Now, even though SMU still believed in me and let me come to the school, I had to prove that, I could still be that guy that I was in high school previous, before my hamstring injury, because they're banking on me being a good player even after that. And to be honest, I ain't got nothing to worry about, because right when my physical therapist told me that I can get back active, I did just that. Got right back in the lab so I could be prepared to fight for my starting position. And I was going all gas, no brakes, because I was up there working out with wide receivers like Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, and even my boy Elijah. He was out there with us. And speaking of Elijah though, him being a 5-star wide receiver and just being a consistent star throughout high school and balling out in the state championship, he already has a spot in the starting lineup secured. But for me, coach let me know that I'm gonna have to battle for my position. And with all the training I did during the summer and the offseason and everything, I should definitely be ready. And in this position battle, I most definitely showed that I was ready for the competition. Cause look, I was actually kind of surprised the way coach did the position battle. Instead of it being, like individual drills and stuff like that, it was just like we was out there just scrimmaging and just seeing who got open the most, who really caught the ball when they got it, who took advantage of their opportunities and everything. It was really just me and two other players that really wouldn't be on the field like that out there battling. And let's just say I looked way better than everybody else did. I mean, there was another guy who kind of was a standout, but he didn't look as good as me at all. Without a doubt, I was the best player out there. And to be honest, I don't even think it was close. Now, after doing pretty well in the position battle, coach decided that I should have the wide receiver 3 spot. So this means I'll be able to get in the game. And even though it seems crazy for a freshman who just came off an injury to already have the wide receiver 3 spot, it's just the fact that I completely dominated in that position battle, and a coach saw the improvement. He saw the potential that I could really have, just like my high school coach did. Now, unfortunately for me though, I won't be able to play at my natural position on the field, which is the slot. Because right now, the wide receiver core is looking like Elijah at wideout, senior Jordan Hudson in the slot, and me on the other side of Elijah. And even though this isn't like where I'm natural at, I gotta be happy that I'm at least on the field. And I just gotta make sure I take advantage of every single opportunity that I might get here. Now, heading into the first game of the season versus Washington State, you already know my nerves was definitely nerving, but I will eventually have to shake them off, because when that ball comes my way, I gotta be able to do my job and make the play. And speaking of making the play, here in this first game, I really wasn't able to make many. See, I feel like I was open a lot in this game, and I felt like I had many opportunities to, make plays, but I just didn't get the ball. Well, not as much as I feel like I should have. It could be because, I'm just so used to getting targeted so much in high school. But here, It was all Elijah and Jordan. And as frustrated as I wanted to be, since I really couldn't show out in my first game, I had to be happy for my boy Elijah, because he was balling out. Matter of fact, as a team, we were doing real good. I mean, for me in the fourth quarter, I had only 2 catches, 30 yards. But Elijah, good 8 catches, 160, a touchdown. And after this big touchdown right here, he ended up having over 200 yards in his college debut. And then he even hit the little dance I hit when I went viral last year. And I couldn't be nothing but happy for him, man, because, that's my boy. But deep down inside, I wanted to have a debut like that. And as bad as I wanted to confront the QB, I just decided to stay quiet. Because eventually, hopefully I start getting more targets. And so I just kept my head down, kept working hard. Because especially being a freshman, I just had to be patient and wait my turn. And so, in the next game, I was hoping it was indeed my turn, but I would soon be having a similar game to the previous one. Not really getting the ball. I mean, it didn't even look like our quarterback, Kevin Jennings, was even looking my way. And just to make matters even worse, it's just the fact that we were actually losing in this game. Like, we were moving the ball okay, but we could never really finish the drive. Like, every single drive was basically just a field goal. And so, by halftime, we was down 21-9. But in the third quarter, we would end up finally having that spark. And guess what? I was that spark. I asked coach to just let me return the first kickoff of the second half, because I really don't do that, but I want to do something in this game. He let me, and I did not disappoint, because with just good enough blocking, I was able to have a crazy kick return and get into the end zone using my crazy speed. Now, that was our first touchdown of the game, and after that extra point, the score was 21-16. But unfortunately, it didn't look like our defense was feeling the momentum that we were feeling, on the offensive side. Because to be honest, that Vanderbilt offense was really looking unstoppable. And it's just funny to say that Vanderbilt, that's the team that we're losing to right now. And we was trying on offense, but it really wasn't moving the needle at all. So at this point, the game was over. And not only that, but the kick return that I got was really all I did, because I would only get targeted a couple of times, like off of bad screen play calls. And after this, I was real frustrated, because last game this happened, we won, so it wasn't as much of a deal. But this time, we lost. And we lost by a little bit too, so I just know I could have done a lot more in this game if I just, got that ball. And due to that, it really made me feel away. And during our next practice, I let Kevin know how I felt. The best way I could, the calmest way possible. And thankfully, he didn't take it negatively. He told me that he'll look my way more next game. But in my head, though, I knew that saying and actually doing are completely different things. So I guess we're going to have to find out. 10 catches, 156 yards, and a touchdown. This was the stat line I put up in a game versus TCU. And I was kind of forced to go crazy, because after I confronted Kevin about my targets, I feel like he might have taken it personally. Because in this game, it really felt like he was forcing the ball to me. And I had to make sure that no matter what, when, how the ball was coming, I had to take advantage. And I did. See, starting off the game, in the very first offensive drive, I could tell what timing he was on, because he forced the life out of his first pass to me. And it was a streak route with a cornerback and a safety in the area. And to be honest, I was surprised he ain't care about if this could be a pick possibly. But it didn't end up being one anyways, because my 5'9" self somehow ended up coming down with the ball for my first catch of the game, with many more to come. Another crazy play was when he forced a slant my way, and you would think since I'm so small that a linebacker would just knock my head off as soon as I would catch the ball. But that didn't happen at all, because I was just way too quick to even be touched at the moment, as I was able to turn that forced slant into a big play that got us down the field. And plays like this what happened down the stretch of this game, as I don't think bro thought that, I was on that type timing, but hey, I'm like that. But now that he knows what timing I'm on, hopefully I start getting the ball a lot more throughout the season, because not only did I go crazy, but we won the game as well. So it wasn't all for nothing. And over the next couple games, I will continue to receive a good amount of targets. Not having games like that game, but more of what I thought I was going to have coming into the season. And not only that, but we were winning games too. At this point, we were like 3-1, and everything felt great. But just when I thought things were going a little bit too good, it always got to be something. And that something ended up being something that shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. And I can't blame nobody but myself, because it was something that I should have been paying way more attention to, and it just, caught up to me and ended up being my classes. See, I was focusing like way too much on football, like so much on football to where basically everything else in my life was just pushed to the side. And I kind of forgot that I was, still in college and had to make sure that my grades were still solid. My grades even got to the point to where coach had to sit me while I got my stuff together, because I was almost going to become ineligible due to my grades, crazy enough. Now, this definitely frustrated me a little bit, but I knew it had to be done. And so I locked in on my schoolwork to the best of my ability. Basically just taking all the hard work that would have been into football back into the classroom, and it definitely helped. Now, unfortunately, I had to miss a couple of weeks due to my grades, but we were still playing well and winning games. It sucked though, because now we're in the final stretch of the season and we're just trying to keep our playoff spot or, make the playoff. Now, coming back, especially at this point in the season when we're just playing so well, I was hoping I would be able to, come back and continue playing the role that I was playing when I was playing, but I was in for a rude awakening because coach would tell me that the offense is looking good and he doesn't really want to make huge changes because it could really, mess up the momentum that they got right now, and the momentum's good. So he said there's no need to change what's going on, mainly because, we're playing well, and at this point we were 6-1. So I was demoted to wide receiver 5. And I couldn't get mad at coach about it though, because it was my fault for falling off in my studies. Now, on the bright side though, coach did tell me that I will still be able to impact the game, as he ended up putting me at punt returner and kick returner. Because with my attributes and quickness, there's no reason for me to just, sit on the bench all game. I have talent and I need to be on the field using them. And I can make something happen on special teams. And to be honest, I just had to be happy. Just happy that I'm able to at least see the field, because this could have went way worse. I could have just been on the bench for the rest of the season, not be able to show off my talents at all. And so for that, just got to be grateful. So now it's kind of funny the position I'm in, because it feels like I was just complaining about how many targets I was getting. But now I'm not even going to be able to be in the game as a wide receiver for the most part. But if it's one thing I'm going to do, it's going to be taking full advantage of the fact that I can still impact the game. And so now I had always been determined and motivated, but here in this game against California, I was as determined as it gets, because for some reason I actually didn't mind, being able to show how good I can really be at being a pure kick and punt returner. As a matter of fact, in the opening kickoff, my first kick return of the game, I almost immediately broke it off for a touchdown. I broke a couple tackles and everything, but just that last person got me. But hey man, after this, I can already tell what type of game it's gonna be. My vision has gotten just so much better since high school, without a doubt. Not only that, but you would think that with my hamstring injury that I wouldn't, lost a step or whatever, but I didn't. I looked just like how I did back in high school. Explosiveness, quickness, speed, all that. And I was showing all that every time I returned the ball in this game. As a matter of fact, when we was up by a touchdown with just over 4 minutes left in the game, defense got a clutch stop. And this was my time to really make the game way harder for California. And it really sucked that I had to do this to, my own home state's, school. But hey, it is what it is. And crazy enough, even though I was having a crazy return game so far, they still kicked the ball right to me. Punted it right to me. And I had to make sure to make that punter feel dumb for that, as I looked untouchable on that return. And it's funny because you would think a punter would, understand that you don't want to kick the ball right to someone who's been killing it return-wise all game. But he did. And I know he regretted that one for sure. We were going to win this game, and man, the stats I put up were crazy. So crazy, it had the media talking. And for someone who normally doesn't get that much media coverage, this was great. It felt amazing. And this only boosted my motivation and dedication, as now I'm chasing a goal I never thought I would be chasing, the Jet Award, the best returner in the nation. And yeah, I might be starting pretty late, but I still got a chance, and I gotta go for it. 7-1 now for the season, meaning I only have about 4 games remaining to try to win that Jet Award. And even though I'm not up there in the race just yet, I'm ready for the grind, and I know how much it's gonna take. And here against Stanford, I'm looking to continue my momentum from last game. Now, if it's one thing that sucks about being a return man, it's the fact that when you balling, you actually get the ball less. So you don't really get as many touches to get that home run return. And I would soon come to that realization in this game. And it was kind of frustrating, especially in the first half. See, I could tell that the kicker and the punter had the same game plan. They already knew what timing I was on, because they was doing all they possibly could to keep that ball away from me. Because even though I do have a small sample size of what I have done in the return game, I still have shown that kicking the ball to me is a terrible idea. Well, at least for them. And lucky for me, the kicker forgot all about what he and the punter were doing in the first half. Kicked that thing right to me. And you already know he paid for it. Finally getting to return a kick, and I took it to the crib. And it wasn't just any kick return either, because this would give us the lead at the beginning of the third quarter. Now, of course, after what I did, that was my first time and last time being able to return a kick in this game, because they weren't playing no games. We were going on to win this game, and I was actually satisfied with my game, even though I barely had any opportunities to do anything. Because, hey, at the end of the day, what else can I do other than my job? Now, with there just being 3 games left this season, us being ranked 7 and being 8-1, we got to make sure we get the job done and don't lose any of these last 3 games, because right now in the conference, we're tied with Virginia Tech. I mean, other than them having a conference loss. So yeah, we ain't got no room to lose at all if we want to get to that conference championship. Now, first up is Syracuse, and it really doesn't matter whether they're having a good year or a bad year. And starting the game off, we're looking real good. And I know I haven't told y'all much about the offense, but man, Elijah and Jordan have been going crazy. Like, I thought it was gonna be me and Elijah, just like in high school, but instead, it's them two. And that duo was unstoppable, especially in the first half. It looked like they was going buck for buck with each other, or I guess catch for catch. The defense wasn't doing amazing, but they weren't doing bad either. And don't worry about me. See, I was doing what I possibly could whenever I had the opportunity. Not getting that home run kick return that I always want to get every single time, but putting the offense in a pretty good place almost every single time I return the ball. And you would think we'd be blowing these dudes out the way that our offense was moving and everything. But Syracuse was still in the game. And with just 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it was a close one, because we was up 31-28. But they had the ball and had already made their way into the red zone. And at this point, if the defense could just get a stop, create a turnover or something, it would look real good for us, especially with how our offense was moving. There was no way they was going to stop them, but they would find the end zone easily. And with that touchdown, they would take the lead, making the score 31-35. And so it was either up to me, if they kick it my way at least, or the offense to take the lead back. And well, they kicked it right to me, very unexpectedly. And I had a pretty decent return, because now the offense could just burn the clock with no time left and hopefully do something with it. And that's exactly what it looked like they was doing, just running the ball, time running down. It was looking good up until the run stopped working and we was getting closer to the red zone. And because of that, we had to pass the ball. And we only needed 7 yards to get the first down. But instead of going for the quick yards, Kevin tried to go for the kill shot immediately. And I couldn't blame him, because the field goal wasn't going to win the game. But the kill shot ended up being a bullet that fired backwards, because he threw it right to the defense. An interception. That marked our second loss of the season. But not only that, our first conference loss of the season as well. And with 2 games remaining, we won't be able to afford another loss. To be honest, we barely could afford that one. It's Wake Forest week now, and after a loss like we just had, when the game was just in our hands, we come into this game with so much energy, because we needed all the momentum that we could possibly have, since our final game of the season is against Miami. Cam Wardless Miami, but still, it's Miami. Now this game, we thought we was going to come out here guns blazing, but it looked like our guns were completely jammed. Well, at least Kevin's, because it looked like he forgot how to read defense, and it was hurting the offense real bad. And it's not like Elijah and Jordan weren't open. Kevin was just struggling against his Wake Forest defense, which is funny because their defense has not been good this season. But I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it could be due to the way that he costed us the last game. Maybe it's taking a toll on his mental, but as much as coaches and players tried to get through to him, no one could. And he even had to be subbed out the game to try to get his mind right. But by the time he got taken out, In the second quarter, the game was already in Wake Forest hands, as they was up 21-0. And now, with this much offensive struggles, coach made a couple adjustments. He subbed in the backup quarterback and told me that I'm in as a wide receiver for a couple more times in this game, hoping that this could change the game. But before his adjustments could do anything, I was on a return, and in need for a huge play to be made, I was the guy to make it, returning the kick for a huge touchdown. And just when Wake Forest thought they was beating the life out of us, that touchdown would bring the life back into us. And as a matter of fact, the defense went out there, got a stop for us, while also leaving 2 minutes left in the second quarter to make something happen. And we did. After that return, I was ready for anything. And now that coach had me out there as a wide receiver, I was ready for show. First play of the drive reminded me of high school, because I got a jet touch pass, and I picked up a pretty good gain to start our drive's momentum. Now after that, Elijah and Jordan were doing the best they could do, getting open, making the QB's job easy, and it was, as the quarterback was able to find Elijah for a touchdown to make it a one-score game. Now Wake Forest actually got the ball to start off in the second half, but our defense was all over them. Was able to get a stop, force a punt. And man, when I tell y'all my eyes lit up when I saw that ball coming my way, especially after what I did earlier in the game, and they definitely should have remembered what I did, because I would do something similar here, but even worse. It's just like my returnability was just on one here, as I was able to take this punt to the crib to tie the game up. And of course, I had to hit my little dance in the end zone. But after that, just when you would think that our comeback would have gave us the momentum to really take off in this game, quite the opposite happened. Is now, for some reason, the backup quarterback started to play like trash. I don't know if it was because the defense started to change up their coverage, but the offense just got so much worse. And it was a situation where I just had to do what I could. And unfortunately, I couldn't take over the game. And we would lose this game to Wake Forest 35-24, taking once again another loss. Another loss that we just could not afford to have. It's Miami week, the last week of the regular season. And at this point, we're out of the conference championship, and our chances of being in the college football playoff are very slim, while losing in this game would definitely destroy our chances of making it, and we knew this. So coming into here, we got to give it all we got, and that's what we was doing to the best of our ability. I mean, all cylinders firing. We're trying as much as we can, but at the same time, Miami is too, and it was a real close game. And look, there's a lot at stake in this game. Because after our last game losing, we're no longer ranked. So this game could get us back ranked. Though it's probably not going to get us back into the college football playoff. But still, like, we at least want to end the season off ranked. But it was like in this game, there was no defense being played. It was just both teams scoring back and forth. And look, I was still out there at wide receiver. Now, our starting quarterback came back in. He's finally having that good game that we always seen him have. And he's been getting me the ball. As a matter of fact, it was almost like I was the wide receiver one in this game. And for some reason, it was Jordan this time not getting the ball. But Elijah throughout this season, though, he's always received the ball. He's always, he's been the receiver one over Jordan, surprisingly, even as a freshman. But the only thing that really matters about this game is the fact that me and Elijah look like just how we was in high school, that duo. And it would come in the last game of the season, funny enough. And instead of Elijah and Jordan going catch for catch, it was me and Elijah. And man, we was even going so crazy that at a point in time in the third quarter, Miami just couldn't keep up. Because I mean, it was 35-28. They had the ball, but couldn't score. And at that point, the game was over with. Because their defense wouldn't get no stops on us. And that one stop that we got was all we needed. Because I mean, literally, right after that, we got a big play touchdown that put the game away, basically, because we was up by 2 scores. And with the way our offense was looking, there was no way we was going to get stopped. We ended up winning this game, putting up like 50-something points. Like, yo, it was a crazy one. But even though we did win that game, like I said, we were unranked. Now, winning that game did get us back into the rankings, but we weren't in the college football playoff, and we was just looking at a bowl game now. And at this point, we're 9-3, but that don't matter, which really sucked. But hey, I guess it is what it is. My freshman year is coming to an end now. And unfortunately for us, we didn't play good enough to get to the college football playoff. But we are in the Pop-Tarts Bowl versus Army, so this should be a pretty easy bowl game if you ask me. And as y'all can see for this bowl game, I had to switch it up. I had to put some type of drip on because before, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't had nothing on. But hey, it is what it is though. Let's get into it. With this being our last game of this season, there's a lot of people on this team this is their last year. Especially my boy Jordan, the slot receiver. So this means it's going to be a lot changing. But we need to worry about this game that's in front of us right now, this bowl game versus Army. And this should be a game that we should easily be able to take. But at the same time, we don't want to, be too ahead of ourselves because we done lost games that we shouldn't have this season. So we got to stay locked in and do our thing, blow them out like we should. But overall, with this being Jordan's final game in college, Kevin tried to make sure that it was a real good game for him, so he could have a real good farewell game, look good going into the NFL draft. And it was pretty obvious what Kevin was trying to do in his game, and the defense started to catch on a little bit. But it really didn't matter because Jordan was real nice with it. And here in the first quarter, I wouldn't get a single reception or a single target, but I really didn't mind it though because I know what type of game this is. And if anything, I'll start getting the ball in the second half. Because right now, Elijah wasn't getting the ball either. It was like Jordan the whole time. But not only Jordan though, also our running back LJ Johnson Jr. Now, he's a guy who really hasn't been balling that much during the season because, the offense just hasn't been centered around the running game at all. But with this being his last game, coach made sure to, put way more running plays in the playbook so that he can get some yards, and he's been doing real good. He actually ended up breaking off for a huge 50-yard run for a big touchdown. Probably his biggest run of the year. And let's just say, Army just couldn't keep up with us at all. Because going into the second half, that boy Jordan with 3 touchdowns, 150 yards already. LJ with over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was just not looking good. And at this point, them two done sat down. Because we was already up 35-0. And at this point, I stayed in because I wanted to get some yards too. And I did. Kevin was subbed out the game, but our backup Tyler was in. He was feeding me that rock. Me and Elijah, we both ended up staying in the game, was both getting fed, we was both going crazy. And it was no matter what we did on offense, everything was working here in this game. And even though we probably shouldn't have stayed in the game for the rest, me and Elijah stayed in anyways. And we ended up scoring more than 50 points in this game. Did them boys dirty, and I don't even think they put a point up. But if you're wondering about my stats, I had 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 catches. Man, what a final game of my freshman year. Man, it's crazy how my freshman year ended up going. I thought I was going to end up playing receiver the whole time, but only really got a couple opportunities to really put up stats. And because of that, I ended my season with 48 catches, 621 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, return stats wise, to be honest, I don't even get into that. Because in my second year and the rest of my college career, I ain't trying to be no kick returner. I'm trying to be the #1 wide receiver in the nation. But first, before we even get into my second year, there's someone I need to introduce y'all to. 6-foot, do-it-all quarterback. Got crazy arm strength, crazy agility, crazy accuracy. He's the perfect quarterback. At least on paper, no glazing. The dude's name is Jordan Jones. He's a guy who previously committed to Oklahoma, but after seeing that our starting quarterback decided that he didn't want to be here no more, either transferring to going to the NFL draft, Jordan Jones decided to, change his commitment and come over here to SMU. And it's actually funny because this dude is actually from Oklahoma. So the fact that he would change his commitment from Oklahoma to SMU was kind of crazy. As also, he kind of has offers from every big school in the country, but he still chose us. But hey, I ain't gonna complain. Because, the dude's a 5-star quarterback. He was the #1 quarterback in the state of Oklahoma and a top 10 quarterback in the nation. But instead of just, telling y'all about this, how about I show y'all what he did in the state championship? Now look, first off, this school that he's on hasn't been to the state championship in over 20 years. And the school they playing against is a school that they haven't been able to beat in at least 15 years. And so now, with a star quarterback on their team, they had an opportunity to really come out here, win a state championship, and beat the team that they could not defeat. And with Jordan knowing that, with all that's at stake, and this being his last game in high school, he was real focused, real determined, real locked in for this game right here. And shoot, he showed it. He was out there looking like the dark-skinned Mahomes. But he was a way faster version of Mahomes though, because he needed to be. Now look, his wide receivers aren't amazing. The fact that he got here to the state championship with these mid-wide receivers was crazy in itself. And whenever they wasn't open, he was able to scramble, pick up big gains by himself. And the fact that he was able to use his speed, his agility, and all that to really make defenders miss too, it just made him even more of a threat on the ground. And especially in this game, when the stage was way bigger than it normally was, he was able to show how crazy his arm talent was. Like, he was putting the ball in places that you wouldn't think anybody could really put it at. And the thing is, he had to keep this up throughout the whole game because it was a close one the entire time. I mean, the other school was not backing down at all. And that's just how it was in the whole first half. But coming to the second half, something changed. Now, I don't know how much y'all believe in locker room speeches, but the way Jordan and his team came out in the second half was crazy, unbelievable. Because with it being a tied game, no defense basically being played, 28-28, coming out in the second half, Jordan and his team got to set the tone for the rest of the game. And he did just that. Now, his wide receiver one is a speedster. He doesn't have amazing hands, but hey, he did on this play. Put him on a streak route, and that boy Jordan put that ball right where he needed to for a huge big play touchdown, the first play of the second half. And now the other team had to match it. But when it was their time to get the ball, they couldn't do nothing with it. Because the defense, for some reason, came out there after that locker room speech at halftime like I was talking about, and they was playing real defense, unlike the first half. And that stop was exactly what Jordan needed to really take off in this game. Because when Jordan got that ball back, he was able to pull off an amazing drive. Just straight dimes down the field. It wasn't huge plays like that one before, but hey, like 10 yards, 20 yards every single play. And he only threw one incomplete pass the entire drive. And so they made their way all the way down the field. And an easy run at the 5-yard line to get into the end zone to make it a 2-score lead now. And at this point, you could just hear their fans going crazy. This could be the first time that they win the national championship in over 20 years. And the first time that they beat the other school in about 15. And it'll be all because of Jordan Jones. But the game wasn't over yet. Because now in the fourth quarter, still a 2-score game. But the other team with the ball. And still hoping that they can get down the field and score a touchdown to bring this lead back down to 1 score. And I mean, they was having a real good drive. Got all the way down the field, got into the red zone. But when that field got shorter, things got a lot harder for them boys. And they couldn't get the job done. Took a sack on 4th down, and it was basically game over at that point. Because Jordan and his team with the ball, with just 3 minutes left, up 2 scores, yeah, game over. And in this crazy state championship game, Jordan put up these crazy stats. And well, now that y'all know about Jordan, the new recruit to the team, it's time to get back to present day. Now, of course, with it being a whole new year, whole new season, it's going to be a lot of changes happening. As look now, the receiver 1 and 2 is Elijah and then me. And I got my slot receiver role back, which is great because that's why I feel best at. Last year I was at wideout for some time and it was kind of weird, but hey, back in the slot and that's all that matters. Also, most of our offenses changed. We had a couple seniors that now gone, but more importantly, we got a little QB battle going on now. Because look, with Kevin now gone, Tyler thought that he would end up, assuming the starting quarterback role. But with Jordan Jones committing to this school now, yeah, he's going to have to fight for that position. And we're going to see what happens. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to, get that starting role over a 5-star quarterback. But we're going to see what happens. Now, coaching and organizing this QB battle is a multi-phase type of thing. Now, he knows Jordan has a great arm talent, but Tyler has been working real hard. He's got to show it here. Now, in the first phase, both quarterbacks got 3 throws at all 3 of the levels: short, medium, and deep passes. And since Jordan was a freshman, he was up first. First pass was a slant, dot. Second pass, drag, another dot. And then third pass, in route, of course, on the money. And then it was Tyler's turn. And he did the same thing. Basically, got all 3 of his completed. Now it's on to the medium. Now for the medium routes, Tyler got to start first. And these routes was a comeback route, a corner route, and a dig. Now for the comeback route, it was perfect. The corner route, perfect as well. Got it right there, right where he needed to, right before they got out of bounds. But somehow for the easiest one, the dig route, he overthrew it a little bit. Went a little bit over the receiver's head, but the receiver still caught it. So hey, 3 for 3. Now for Jordan, all these just look natural. Like no shakiness in his throws at all. All the throws on point, right in the receiver's hands, right where they need to be. And so of course, got all 3. But now is when it gets a little bit more difficult. It's the deeper passes now. And of course, Jordan is starting it off. And this is a deep post, a deep crossing route, and a streak route. But not no normal streak route though. Because you got to put to the back of the end zone by the pylon. So coach can see who can really put that ball where it need to be at. And well, as y'all guessed, that boy Jordan was putting that ball exactly where he needed to put it, as he was easily able to complete the pass for the deep post and the deep crossing route. And then when it was streak time to put it to the back of the pylon, of course, why wouldn't it be on the money? Dude can't do nothing wrong, no glazing. But now it's time for Tyler to show that he was just as good. And through the first 2 passes, he did just that. A great pass on the post and another great pass on the crossing route. And now it was time to make that pass to the back of the pylon. Tyler dropped back, caught his arm back, and delivered that pass. And well, that thing was on the money too. And so Tyler and Jordan tied up in the accuracy test. And so now in the second phase, they both got turns with the starting lineup in practice to go against the starting defense and see who does better at reading defenses. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. They were going back and forth. I mean, they both were real good at reading defenses. Jordan has always been good, and Tyler has been working real hard on stuff like this. And like, it's funny, I know Jordan was not expecting to come here to SMU and have to fight over his starting spot, but hey, look at him. He's battling, and it's a real good one. It's head to head right now. And like, when I was expecting at least one of them to, be nervous, something, none of them are. It don't seem like it at all. They're both balling out. Both look like they want that starting spot. And I guess it's gonna have to go to the phase 3. And well, phase 3 is in a real game. And they're gonna take turns alternating quarters. And their performance in this game is gonna show who becomes the starting quarterback on the team. So I guess we're gonna see what happens. First game of the season, we're taking on Wake Forest. And in this game, the first game of the season, there's a lot to prove for a lot of people on this team and just a lot that's at stake. Like, of course, first off, we got the quarterback battle. We got Tyler starting in the first quarter, and then, they alternate off from there. But then you also got me and Elijah. And Elijah's coming off a season we had over 1,000 yards and almost 10 touchdowns. He had like 8. And me, I ain't playing enough wide receiver to even get to 1,000. I don't even think I got over 700. But now that I got my starting spot and I'm in the slot now, I'm ready to ball out. And to be honest, to me, I don't really care who's the starting quarterback. Just as long as they get me the ball and win games, I'm gonna be good with whoever it is. And right now, it was Tyler, determined to take that starting spot over Jordan. Now, Tyler's first drive was very methodical. And I didn't hate it because with me being the slot receiver now, he was getting me that ball, like for real. But maybe the drive was a little bit too methodical because it seemed like he was being a little bit too conservative. So he didn't, mess up and look bad in front of the coaches. But this conservativeness started to work against him because even when it might have been time to make a big play, he just settled for the shorter passes, the safer ones. And once Wake Forest closed in on the short passes, they were able to stop our offense. And so Tyler's first drive was unsuccessful. And while the rest of his quarter had a couple good plays in it, it was just mainly underwhelming. Because really, any big play that was made was due to the receiver getting yards after the catch. Short passes turned into bigger gains. I guess you could say he was playing like Brock Purdy or whatever. And well, anyways, Tyler would only get us 2 field goals. So we were down 6-7, and it was now Jordan's turn to finish the first half. And after Tyler's performance, it looked like Jordan had all the confidence in the world. Because unlike Tyler, that boy was out there gunslinging. Now, the passes might have been a little shaky in terms of him being able to read the defense and stuff like that. He might have been a little bit nervous, but he really just needed to, adjust to how college football is. And even though his first drive was unsuccessful, he would start looking way more confident and comfortable in the rest of the quarter. As in his second drive, he looked like a whole new player. He wasn't looking that nervous anymore. It looked like he was kind of adjusting pretty quickly, like quicker than I thought he would. And not only that, he was spreading the ball around. Not only me getting the ball, but also Elijah, our receiver 3, Ashton Cozart, and our new senior tight end, Adam Moore. I mean, everybody was getting the ball. And because of that, we was able to get down the field easily. And he even put up a touchdown, getting it to his number 1 wide receiver, Elijah Meredith. And now, with the second quarter being over with, going into the third, we're up 13-10. And Tyler knew that he would have to step up, or the freshman was going to have his spot that he worked so hard for. I ain't gonna lie, it's going to take a lot for Tyler to do better than what Jordan did. And so, coming out in the third quarter, he would have to extend his lead. And I mean, off the rip, you could already see how much more determined Tyler was and how much more confident he was in the pocket here in the third quarter. And it was obviously because of how good Jordan played when he was out there. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but he did what he needed to do. And now Tyler needs to do what he needs to do, especially since this is his last opportunity. And shoot, he played like it was his last opportunity. Now, the thing is, he don't got the talent that Jordan got. But what he does have is the hard work ethic. And not only that, he knows what he can and cannot do. He's not going to try to, impress the coaches by making plays that Jordan was making. He's not as mobile as he is. So he's not even going to try to attempt to do the crazy stuff, the Pat Mahomes type of plays that Jordan was making. But he is going to step back in that pocket, deliver some dots. And that's exactly what he was doing out there. As when we was at the 50-yard line, he put me on a streak route at the slot. and I got open down the field, and he put that ball right where he needed to, and we got the touchdown to extend our lead to a 10-point game. You could tell he was feeling that at this point, but he might have been feeling it just a little bit too much, because on his next drive, basically his last drive of the game, he looked a little bit too desperate. And it's like, it's been a defensive game. The defense been getting stops. It's still 20-10 right now, and he was really trying his hardest to get down the field, score a touchdown, but it shouldn't have happened this way, because with the running back on the wheel route, got down the field. He thought the running back was going to be able to outrun the DB, but instead, that ball fell right into the DB's hands. And after that play, after looking at the coaches' expressions on their face, I could already tell they ain't like what they just saw. Because Tyler was just looking good the drive before, but he just looked real desperate on this play, and they ended up giving the ball back to Wake Forest. And now, Wake Forest has an opportunity to bring the lead back to 3 points. And with that being Tyler's last opportunity to prove why he should be the QB1, it really wasn't looking good for him, but hey, it's all up to Jordan in the fourth quarter to really lock this in. And well, Wake Forest did end up scoring another touchdown to bring the lead back to a 3-point game. And now Jordan gotta, secure this dub. And so Jordan coming out here knowing exactly what he needs to do, started building up a drive. Now Wake Forest started to change up their defense a little bit, so it got a little bit harder. But he still got legs. He's real mobile, so he decided to start using his legs a little bit more, getting around the pocket, great pocket presence, everything, picking up yards every single play. And it was like after every play, you could already tell just looking at the coaches' faces that they was loving what they were seeing from Jordan. But now, getting even closer to the red zone, it's now 3rd and 7. But there was no worries. That boy Elijah on a corner route found him right there, sideline dot, toe drag swag for the first down. And now, in the red zone, it's time to finish the job. And I ain't gonna lie, we was all locked up in the red zone, but Jordan knew exactly what he needed to do. Got around in the pocket, used his legs, got out, and got a rushing touchdown to extend the lead back to 10. And like, man, when I tell y'all, this dude was out here just confident, just looked like he should be out here, like he's already the starting quarterback. And especially after this drive right here, it seemed like everybody already knew what time it was and that Tyler was gonna be on the bench for another season. And shoot, it was for sure locked in. After when the defense got to stop and Jordan would come back out on the field and throw a deep bomb to Elijah for a big play touchdown. I mean, the first play on this new drive for a touchdown. They extended the lead even further. And at this point, the game was over with. But not only was the game over with, but the position battle was over with as well. And it was pretty obvious that Jordan would be the starting quarterback for the season, which really sucked for Tyler. But I mean, hey, he had the opportunity against a freshman as well to prove that he could be the quarterback one after all the work he put in, but unfortunately for him, couldn't do it. He's probably going to be looking to transfer next season. Sure, I wouldn't blame him. Well, now that that's over with, finally know who our starting quarterback is, and now we can really get the chemistry up with the team, and that comes with the first practice. Well, at least Jordan's first full practice with the starters. And of course, in this practice, just going over things that should and should not be done, and going over how our game plan is going to be for the next game. Now, the thing is also, with our new quarterback and how much talent he has, with his arm, coach really wanted to build around that arm talent that he has, giving us even crazier plays than we had last year. More rollout plays, more plays where he can really show off how good he is. And I mean, in this practice, he didn't look like a freshman. And like, coach had the defense throw like different type of coverages, even complex type coverages, and he was reading them pretty well. Taking check downs if he needed to, getting it over the top of the defense whenever he could. Like, it was nasty. And now, after a very successful practice, we finally got our starting lineup for the rest of the year. First off, our starting quarterback, Jordan Jones, freshman quarterback out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our starting running back, Cole Yarborough, redshirt junior out of Abington, Virginia. Then you got wide receiver 1, Elijah Meredith, sophomore out of Los Angeles, California. And then me, wide receiver 2 and slot, sophomore out of Los Angeles, California as well. And then we got Ashton Kozart at wide receiver 3, a redshirt junior out of Flower Mound, Texas. And lastly, for our starting tight end, senior Adam Moore out of Miami, Florida. And with the team we got, the chemistry we finna build, I feel like we're gonna do a lot. But only time will tell.